All right, welcome everybody to this week's live Path to Prosperity weekly webinar. Everybody, it's mostly an investor agent program. Some of you are in the rental program, wholesaling, flipping. Some of you came through commercial program. Chris Latham did that. And welcome aboard. If you're new, if you're a new student, please remember this is always live and recorded. And it's also, we use the chat box to communicate, so type your questions in the chat box if you could, that would be great. And anything else, because it's being recorded, you will get the recording the next day from Beverly. Always check the email with instructions on updates on the schedule, system updates and things like that. There's definitely been some changes, so it'll keep you up to date. But in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and get started tonight. I've got Josh Schoenly on board. He's also from Pennsylvania. I know if you've been on early, you've heard us discuss some of our old stomping grounds there and what's going on. So first off, Josh, welcome aboard, man. I'm taking your time to join us and share your expertise,
Well, I'm grateful for the invitation and excited to be here for sure.
Excellent. So if you could, let's go ahead and I'm going to turn things over to you. Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let's rock and roll. And I'll monitor the Q&A for you. How about that?
That would be perfect. That would be awesome. So I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to get into presentation mode here. And so the title of the training that I want to walk you through tonight, and it's a bit of a sensational title, but I promise I'm going to back it up. And it's called The New Easy Way to Get High Intent Motivated Buyers, Scheduling Calls, Starting Mortgage Applications, and Texting You all on Autopilot. And again, I realize that's pretty sensational, right? It's it's a hypey title, but the reason I can confidently say that is because I figured it out for myself first. So I'm experiencing the results that I'm talking about here, and then from that, we started helping some clients implement this system that I'm going to walk you through. We call it the Selective sequencing system, and they've been getting fantastic results as well, experiencing, in most cases, much the same as me. So again, hypey, yeah, maybe a little bit, but I'll walk you through. And as we go through it, I think you'll understand how I can make those claims. Now, Gary mentioned my name is Josh Schoenly, and just a quick background, because I don't want to spend time this evening or too much time this evening talking about myself, but just to give you a little bit of background, I've been a licensed agent since 2006 or 7. Prior to that, I had, so I got started in real estate as an investor. So between my early investing and even as I had gotten licensed, I've done about a couple of hundred transactions as a wholesaler and rentals and flips and so forth. Got my license and worked with investors primarily. Realized that the thing that I was most passionate about, the thing that got me excited, the thing that for me was it didn't feel like work, it was fun, but still provided a lot of value, was marketing, and specifically marketing online. And initially, I created some systems and training around using Craigslist to build a large buyers list that I could sell my properties to, at first as an investor, flipping, wholesaling or flipping them to those folks. And then as I got a license, I was able to do some deals, not just with investors as well. So over the years, I had transitioned out of personal production, actually selling, and spent more time. I built 2 different companies to 7 figures, providing training and education and software and programs around online marketing for real estate agents, right? How to generate leads and how to turn those leads into clients. Recently, about a year ago, I decided to reactivate my license. It had been something that I was thinking about for a while. And I finally decided to pull the trigger. And there were several different reasons why. One of the biggest being, I was beginning to feel a little out of touch, right? I had been helping training and coach agents, and I knew that what I was teaching worked theoretically, right? I knew that the principles were there, and we could generate a particular result here or there, but I just felt disconnected and losing perspective a little bit. And timing wise, I have 4 kids, happily married. My kids are 13 down to 6. Just all things considered, the timing seemed right to reactivate and go back into personally selling. And I was excited to have that different perspective. The reason why that's important is because how I discovered some of the things that I'm going to share with you I wouldn't have figured out, or I wouldn't have discovered them if I wasn't trying to scratch my own itch. Like if I wasn't trying to figure this out for myself personally, I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have been able to put all the dots together, connect all the dots to put this together, this system that we call selective sequencing. Now, so I literally I didn't close a single transaction in 2019. Now I reactivated about a year ago, but I wasn't really doing, I coach a lot of spring sports when it's not, weird here, and we just don't have sports this spring. But and with 4 kids at home during the summer, yada yada yada. I didn't really do much until about November, and that's when I got serious about personal production. And I'm now even during our stay in place, I've been able to do about a transaction a week. I've closed so far since the 3rd week of January. I've closed 11. And I have 2 scheduled for closing Friday. So that'll be 13 in about 4 months' time, and averaging now about 1 per week. And one of the primary sources is this, what we're gonna walk through here tonight. Again, we call it selective sequencing. So here's, and maybe many of you can relate to this, whether you're, whatever your focus is or your niche is. What I find is that most agents are trying to build their business, fighting against other competition in what you would call a red ocean. And this concept isn't a concept I invented, obviously. Many of you probably have heard of a red ocean, blue ocean type of comparison, and it comes from the book. I think the original one was Blue Ocean Strategy, which I actually have on the bookshelf back there. And what most agents are doing is they're fighting for business in a red ocean, right? They're competing against many other agents, whether it's for listings, right? Competing against agents who are all fighting for sale by owners, or they're all fighting for expired listings. Like even in a small market like mine, there are 20 to 30 agents all fighting over the same expired listings every day. Whether you buy Zillow leads or Realtor.com leads or X lead, whatever, insert the blank. In virtually all of those cases, you're fighting in a red ocean where to compete in many cases, you've got to cut commissions, you've got to kind of sell your soul, or you have to be literally like on call all the time, right? And I just wasn't, and I'm not willing to do that. Even before I understood this blue ocean, red ocean analogy, it was just something I never bought into. Thankfully, I had some mentors early on in my entrepreneurial journey that instilled in me the idea that you can reverse engineer business to come to you, so that you're not chasing it, you're attracting it, right? You're bringing it to you. And so I think you'd all rather be swimming or competing in a blue ocean where you're not in shark infested waters, where you're not having to compete on price or having to compete against 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 other agents in a cutthroat type of scenario. And so again, when I got back into personally selling, that was what I was focused on. How can I create my own blue ocean, and not just one? I want to have several blue oceans, right? I want to have several ways that are have little to no competition, and where I don't have to position myself. I don't have to, I don't have to play this game of chase. I'm attracting people to me. I'm working with clients that don't view me as a commodity, right? That don't view me as just a door opener, who appreciate the value that I'm offering them and bringing to them. So that's kind of how this was all born. And I can tell you personally, right now for me, using what I'm going to walk you through, selective sequencing in my business, I'm getting pretty much on autopilot. I'm getting 2 to 3 new pre-approved buyer clients each week. So every couple of days, pretty much like clockwork, I get an email or a text from my lending partner. Hey, so-and-so, David and Melissa. That's the one I got yesterday morning. David and Melissa, they're pre-approved. They're looking in this school district. They're pre-approved up to this amount. They're going to be, blank, conventional financing with X% down, or their FHA with they need 2% seller help, whatever the case may be. I get those kind of communications from my lending partner, and then I get in touch with them. We nail down the criteria, and we go about finding them a house, which right now we're doing virtually, which I kind of like, actually, on some level. Some of the clients, don't love that, but it's pretty cool to not have to be about town all afternoon. You can do it from your, from your laptop. But that's my experience. But just to share some feedback from some of the clients that we've brought on as kind of initial beta testers using this as well. So Chad Scott said, just wanted to let you know that we received 1 credit app already. This was the first day that we kind of launched his system, and lead is already engaging and seems motivated. And he asked, are these ads just on YouTube, or do they run on other platforms as well, which we'll get into as we go through here. And then Susan says, wow, my selective sequencing program just started this morning. I've had 3 leads already, exchanged texts with all of them, spoke with one, my lender spoke with another, and the other one said they were going to fill out the pre-approval, the mortgage application tonight, and searches set up for all of them, and all looking to buy in 1 to 2 months. So high intent, motivated in the here and now. And then this was a follow-up. So that was at the beginning of Susan's trial with this. And then she followed up with, she's shown homes to 3 of these folks already. 1 purchase agreement that wasn't accepted. Another one, hoping to finish another one tomorrow, hoping that gets accepted. Has at least 6 that have filled out an app. And she had to confirm some of those numbers with her lender. This is a funny one. So this was one where we were working with the agent, and we worked these collaboratively with a lender. And the agent kind of told the lender we were doing something, but he didn't really know what was up. So I had sent an email asking if he had gotten any new apps coming in the last 2 days, And he said, yeah, I had 3 new apps come through, and was just asking myself who these, the leads were, like, where did these come from? And he said, I assume this came from what you were doing with Aaron. Send me some more info so I have a better idea of what's going on. So that was kind of cool. And then this is an example of the kind of email that I like getting from my guy, Jeremy. And then Paul says, 6 appointments from it, from just this week. And he says, I want to turn it up. We wrote 2 contracts this week from Wisconsin buyers. So I want to cover 3 sort of secrets or components of this that make this work, right? That and make this a little bit unique versus a lot of the other lead gen and leads that you pay for. And number 1 is how we proactively repel the tire kickers and the looky-loos, those kind of people, and how we attract or qualify just the serious potential clients who are ready, willing, and able to buy right now. Now, will all of them be able? No, but these are people that are motivated. They're ready and willing at a minimum, and it's our job to then make sure that that they can, right? And the big difference is a couple of simple words. Now, I'd mentioned already one of the other lead sources that maybe you've tried in the past, which is Zillow, and not a big fan of Zillow for a number of reasons. But one thing that you can be sure of when you get a lead from Zillow is that, you know, these people are at least like legitimately looking at real estate. They're legitimately active, right? And so another way I want to illustrate this is, you know, if you imagine being a car salesman, right? And which of the following two kind of prospects would you rather have come in, right? Would you rather have someone come in who's done their research, who has already kind of decided the model and the color and everything? They've already kind of you know, done all the legwork, and they come in and they say, listen, I need your help. I want to buy that one out there. Do you have it in blue? Or would you rather have and have conversations with the people that come in from, you know, the guy holding the sign out front on a Saturday offering free hot dogs, popcorn, and a soda, right? You may be able to sell a car to one in, you know, 50 or 100 of those people, right? But you're going to spend you're going to waste a lot of time with people that just came in for the, you know, the free meal, right? The free hot dog. And a lot of lead generation is kind of that scenario where you're offering bait, or you know, you're putting an offer out that is really only going to, or it's a really wide net, right? It's really a broad offer that is going to just bring in anyone who might be thinking about, you know, or might just be interested in looking at real estate. I mean, how many people? We all like to watch HGTV and that kind of stuff. So the difference here is the level of buying intent, right? The level of buying intent. And you know, that's how we can make sure that instead of the looky-loos and the tire kickers, we're bringing in only people who are seriously interested in doing something in the short term. They have real motivation. Some examples of that specific for real estate: people that their lease is coming up and their landlord, you know, wants to lock them in for another 1 year or 2 year lease, and they've been kicking around the idea of buying a house anyway, and so that external pressure has created a real timeline. Or maybe like a client that we're working with right now, the wife is pregnant, they have a young child, they're in a small apartment, and their lease is up at the end of June, right? So there's like real motivation. They want to be in a new house. She's due in July, the end of July. They want to be in a new house before that happens, right? So we have like real intent, real motivation to do something sooner than later, right? They're not just, you know, casually looking, casually interested, just want to see what's out there. There's like real intent. These are people that when you can, you know, when you can connect with them, A, when you can provide them with real value, B, and you can follow through on actually servicing them, they're going to be writing offers. They're going to be, you know, doing what you tell them to do, right? They're going to be good clients. They're going to be clients that listen to your expertise and like will follow through on what you're telling them. So kind of got out of order there. But so how do we do this, right? So how do you make sure that instead of the tire kickers and the looky-loos, we're getting these people with high intent, with motivation? And it's a combination of two things. It's number one, where you're getting the eyeballs from, like who, you know, where you're getting people to look at your message, and then the actual message, right? So it's a matter of crafting a compelling message that qualifies the people that we want to work with, while simultaneously disqualifying or repelling the people that we don't want to work with, and then putting it in front of the right audience, right? It's, you know, I remember I'm a huge Dan Kennedy fan, and he was one of the people that got me started in as an entrepreneur and with the love of marketing. And I remember this story. One of the first things I ever heard him say was, the most important thing about selling and marketing is not to have the best product per se, but it's to have a starving audience, right? You can have the greatest hamburger or cheeseburger in the world, but if you don't have a hungry audience, it doesn't matter. Meanwhile, you can have a mediocre product, and I'm not suggesting that any of us have a mediocre product or service or should have, but without that starving audience, without that hungry crowd, it doesn't really matter, right? And I talk with agents constantly who I'm certain can provide a wonderful service. I'm certain they know the industry. They've got experience. They're going to negotiate, right? They know the ins and outs of the contracts. They just can't find a starving crowd, right? They just can't get in front of the right people. So it's that combination that really creates, the sort of exponential results. And so, okay. So secret number 2 is kind of unpacking what this selective sequencing is, and then the system, the steps in the system that we use to get high intent buyers filling out mortgage applications. So the concept here and the important idea or sort of framework that you can take and use elsewhere is once we put a message in front of the right people, the next thing we have to do is stair step them through micro commitments. We need to make it as easy as possible, and this was the best imagery I could find of creating a slippery slope for them, right? So we've put a message in front of them that is likely to get them to we create a message that qualifies who we want and repels who we don't want. We put it in front of the right audience, which we do that in several different ways. We do it with YouTube ads, pre-roll ads. If you've seen on YouTube, you go and watch like a music video or something, and you see an advertisement for Progressive. Flo seems like she's everywhere, and you can skip that ad after 5 seconds. Well, that's one of the best places that we found to put this kind of messaging in front of. Facebook ads, and putting the kind of message. And I'll give you an example of the type of message that we're putting in front of. I can't cover like the whole script. But so once we've got that and we get the person's attention, now we've got to take them through a stair-stepping sequence where it's these micro commitments. And the way we do that is through a survey sequence. So we and there are a number of different software platforms that you can use for this. The one that we like and use is called Survey Gizmo, surveygizmo.com. And we just ask the people that we've already sort of qualified on some level with our message and with the audience that we're putting it from. We ask them a series of very simple questions, to get them to make micro commitments. And I'll show you the example of the landing page that we're using right now with this in just a minute. But we ask them simple questions, and we make it as easy for them to kind of get into motion. And what we found is if we can get them to answer three questions, they'll give us all their information. They'll within reason, they'll answer then 9, 10, 11 questions, right? Now there's a point of diminishing returns where if you ask too many things, they won't answer. But if you can get them to answer 3 and get them moving, get them micro commitments, then we can get them to complete the survey and provide us with full contact information, their name, their email, and their cell phone number. And we're getting virtually 100% of people give us their real live cell phone number. And not only that, they happily engage with us. So here's an example of a survey. This is where someone would land after they would see one of our messages on YouTube or on Google or on Facebook. And it's a simple question. How soon would you like to own your dream home? Now, in the messaging that we use, we actually try to qualify people by saying something simple like this. How would you like to own your dream home in the next 60 days or less right here in Cumberland County? How would you like to own your dream home in 60 days or less right here in Cumberland County? Now, who's going to respond to that? People that, they're ready, willing, and able, right? They want to own a home in the next 60 days or less. Uh-oh, I'm getting a notice here, Gary. Hopefully my internet connection, I just got a notice, is unstable. Can you still hear me all right?
Yep, I can still hear you. Yep.
Okay, good. Okay. Maybe it was accidental. So this is the first question we ask. And we've tested different questions. Another question that we've tested as the first question is simply, are you currently renting right now, or do you own a home? And the options are renter, homeowner, right? We've asked them, some of the next questions in the sequence are what they're currently paying in rent, and we give ranges, or what they're currently paying per month for housing. That's actually the way we word it, because we don't want people who aren't renting to then be like, well, I'm not paying rent, I pay a mortgage. And we have a series of questions we have about 5 or 6 questions. And then based upon those questions, like other questions are you currently employed? Yes, no, or I own a business. We ask them about, do they have funds available for down payment, things of that nature, qualifying type of questions that we use then. And we even have survey gizmos set up that if they say, that I'm unemployed, or we also ask them, how would you describe your credit? Poor, average, good, great. And if they say poor, well, we kind of, we politely kick them out of the system, and we even have it set up so that they get an offer for credit repair, right? So that's kind of the way that we create this slippery slope, is asking them and taking them through these sequencing questions. Now, when it comes to the messaging part, I gave you kind of a little bit there, but some key components that you want to include in the messaging. Number one is that time frame, right? Would you like to, or would you like the keys to your dream home in the next 60 days or less right here in Cumberland County? So having that time frame, right? Creating that expectation, that's one important thing. The second thing is making sure that you mirror back the area that these folks are in. So we match the audience who we're putting the message in front of with that area. And it might be the city, it might be the county, or it might be, in some rare cases, like, if you're in an area that has like a nickname for several, like a multi-city area. But we want to mirror that as closely as possible so that they feel like, kind of like it's a horoscope effect, right? Like they know that you're talking to them, like you're kind of speaking on their level. You also want to build in some scarcity somehow or another, right? And you want to do that ethically, obviously. But the reality is, depending on your team and your setup, you may only be able to work with 3 of these clients at a time, or 5 of these clients at a time. So you can weave that in, right? Would you like the keys to your dream home in the next 60 days or less right here in Cumberland County? Right now is a great time to find out about the special financing programs that we have available for folks just like yourself with the dream of home ownership right here in Cumberland County. Now, you need to act fast, because at any one time, we can only work with 3 to 5 clients like yourself who would like to get the keys to their dream home in the next 60 days. And we do a lot of repetitive messaging with this. And the 2 best ways that we've crafted these are through video content and then long form text content, actually saying all of these things written out in text. And which one we choose obviously depends on the medium that we're putting it in front of. On YouTube ads, what we're finding is videos that are about 2 minutes, where we have that qualifying information as well as that disqualifying information, where we weave in a case study or 2, like examples of people that we've recently been able to help. And then even just having direct calls to action at least 3 different times throughout. So typically about 45 seconds in, we tell them, listen, what I want you to, if you're interested in this program, what I want you to do right now is click the link below this video and take our Cumberland County Dream Home Quiz, where if you just answer a few short questions, we'll let you know immediately if you're likely to be pre-approved for our 60-day Dream Home program. And kind of layering that in, 45 seconds in, a minute 15 in, and then at the very end again, telling them directly what to do and how to take the next step with you, okay? And then the last step, or the last secret in this, is how we use a very strategic follow-up sequence so that these folks are actually chasing after you, and you don't have to kind of chase them down, begging them for business. And so this is a screenshot from the CRM platform that I use in my business. It's a website platform called KV Core. It's a full website and blog and IDX and landing pages and all that good stuff. But this is specifically the CRM functionality. And this is our follow-up sequence that we have here. And what I'll offer anyone on here, and I'll put my contact information at the end, is I will happily share this entire sequence of emails and texts with anyone on here. If you just shoot me an email, I'll send you the whole sequence and like the timing of them, the whole thing. I'm happy to do that. But as you can see here, it's a combination of texts and emails, and it's over an 8-day period, okay? And so the first text, and I'll just give you this, is you introduce yourself. Hi, so-and-so. Hi, Gary, this is Josh with EXP. Nice to meet you. Hi, Gary, this is Josh with EXP. Nice to meet you. And that nice to meet you thing seems like a little thing, but it's amazing when you say that in text, and when you say that if you're talking with them on the phone, it almost catches people by surprise. And maybe it's just my market because we're grumpy Pennsylvanians, but they're almost like, oh, yeah, nice to meet you too. Like it's almost like a pattern interrupt, because I don't know, Northeasterners maybe just, I don't know, we're just grumpy, but it's actually like a pattern interrupt, and people actually appreciate it. And I'll get people that reply back from the text, hey, it's nice to meet you too, right? So that's the beginning. And then the question that I ask, because you always want to have a question in every one of these communications. You always want to have a question, and you want to mix or alternate questions that are binary, meaning yes, no, or 3 or 4, or like one that we ask is, are you looking to buy a home for yourself? Are you looking to buy a home to live in? Or are you an investor looking to flip a property, like what you see on HGTV? And so that's a longer question, but it's still a binary question. Are they looking for a home to live in, or are they an investor looking for a property to invest in, right? So sometimes you want to use binary questions, and then other times you want to use open-ended questions. So in this first text, hi, Gary, this is Josh with EXP. Nice to meet you. What area, and I put in parentheses, S, are you looking to purchase a property in? What area? And we find that we get a ton of people that respond to that. And they'll tell you, sometimes they'll tell you a town or several towns. Sometimes they'll tell you a specific school district. Sometimes they don't really know, like, specifically. So they might say, well, anywhere in Cumberland County, which is like, it's like 7 different school districts and so forth. But any response at this point is a positive thing. We're getting engagement. And the follow-up question that I always ask when we get that, and we get about 25 to 30% respond to that first text. The follow-up to that is, great. No matter what they say, great, unless they say, I have no idea. But if they give you any type of positive answer, great. How many beds and baths? Single family or townhome? How many beds and baths, single family or townhome? And virtually 100%, and I would say I can't remember anyone that responded to the first question that didn't also respond to the next question. Now we're getting that engagement. We're getting that engagement. We're building rapport, even though we're doing it just through texting, right? So that's that initial text. But again, at the end, I'll give you my contact information. I'll be happy to send you the whole sequence. So there's alternating texts and emails, again, all designed to get into a conversation. Now, one thing I left out, though, is one of the things that we're finding most successful with this is at the point of sale, quote unquote, you know, with you know, if you think about it, you know, when people are checking out at Giant, right? Or I say Giant because that's our local grocery store. But at the point of sale is where we're seeing some of the most phenomenal results as far as getting people right there to start a mortgage application, to schedule a call, or to directly call or text. So once people complete the survey, we send them to a thank you page with a short video message, and then we make it as easy as possible for them to choose their next action, right? We're letting them choose their own adventure. So we give them multiple options. The first thing they can do is immediately start a mortgage application. And we say, hey, listen, thanks for completing the survey. Here's a list of your next best steps. Option 1, start a mortgage application. You can click here to do that right now. And you can, you know, so we can get the process started with your pre-approval. Option 2, schedule a call with, and typically we'll have the lender's information. They're scheduling a call with our lending partner. And, you know, we'll use Calendly or something like that where they can schedule a call. Option 3, you can call or text so-and-so right now. And that could be the lender or the agent in that case. It's kind of up to them. And then we also include our full contact information. And the last thing we've done too is we'll even put a Facebook chat box right there. So we're making it as frictionless as possible for people to take the next step. And the reason why we've done that is we found that some people are going to be comfortable starting a mortgage application. They're fine with that. Like, they're comfortable with that. They're ready to go. Some people are not. But other people, those ones that aren't, they may just want to schedule a time to talk with somebody, right? They want to take that next step. They just, you know, they're a little leery, right? They're not sure about filling out information on the internet. And lastly, you know, calling or texting immediately right there. They just want to talk with somebody right then. They're super motivated, but they want to talk to somebody first before starting. So we make it as easy as possible to allow them to take the next step in the sequence. And if they don't, then we've got this whole series here to get that conversation. And all we do in the conversation is, once we have that, the next logical step is one of those options that was on the thank you page anyway. All right, you know, great. So for example, if they respond to that first text and they say, you know, I'm looking, like the school district that I live in is Cumberland Valley School District. Yeah, well, we'd like to buy a house in Cumberland Valley School District. Oh, that's great. That's actually where we live. Just curious, how many beds and baths, and single family or townhome? And they say that. Okay, great. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set you up on property alerts with properties that fit that criteria. Your next best steps are X. You can start an application right now. Just go to this link, or you can schedule a call with one of our lending partners by using this link. And when you do that, you're going to get more people to take that next action and go through that process. So again, I will be happy to give all of that that whole series to anyone. And the big thing here is, and I'm coming in for a landing, I'm happy to answer any and all questions. The difference here is, this is pull, sort of attraction marketing, versus push, right? And what we found is that we've had a number of clients using the selective sequencing who are, you know, they thought they were doing the right thing. They thought that doing this would actually improve their results. And what happened is it didn't. And what I mean by doing this is, they were proactively calling and sort of following up with all of the leads. and what was happening was they were actually repelling more of them than attracting. Whereas this is all structured to allow them their own sort of choose your own adventure path. And then you don't follow up with them until they've done something that's indicated that they're ready for that, right? And the way to look at that is, you know, you can use a dating analogy, right? And if you think about, and I'm not familiar with these because, you know, I've been happily married for a number of years, 15 or 16 now, and with my wife for a number of years prior to that. But, you know, there's dating sites and dating apps out there where, you know, you create a, you know, you create your profile, right? And you want to make yourself, you want to present yourself in the most attractive light. And the way you can think about that as it relates to this, that's your message, right? That's your message. And the whole point is to get the attention of the, you know, your ideal mate in that case, right? And once you do that, right, you might have a cup of coffee. If that goes well, you might then go out for lunch sometime. If that goes well, maybe you go out for dinner. Maybe after a few dinners, you go out for a long weekend, whatever, right? There's a process to it. But what they were trying to do is put together their profile, get the attention of the other person, and then ask them to marry them, right? Oh, they're interested. Instead of going for coffee first, you know, I was wondering, you know, your profile looks great. You want to get married, right? And so that's kind of what is happening when we have folks that are just immediately picking up and chasing after these folks. They're kind of undoing all we've done with the rest of this process, with the message, putting in front of the right audience, and then taking them through the micro commitments and so forth, and then allowing them to choose their own adventure as far as taking the next steps with us. So with all that said, and again, I'm happy to stay on and answer any specific questions, dive deeper on any of this. If anybody's interested in getting more information about it, you can schedule a 15-minute consult if you'd like. That whole sequence of our follow-up messaging, and I can even give you an example of our the survey that we use. If you'd like to model that, you can shoot me an email. You can text me, call me. I probably won't answer tonight, but I'll follow up with you tomorrow. But if you shoot me an email, I'll send all of that and be happy to answer any of your questions as well. So Gary, I don't know if there was are any questions, but I'm happy to dig in.
Yeah, what I decided to do is I let him go because you were doing a great job, and also when you had control of the screen, I couldn't actually see him like I normally do, so I just pulled them up. So we do have some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
That's okay. That's your fault. My own doing here. So Louis Racette he's a fellow Canadian. He's asking what percentage of prospects have been pre-qualified to act within 3 months. I don't know if you have that kind of a stat or a feel, you know?
Yeah. So here's what. So one of the questions that we asked is 1 to 2 months, 3 to 5, 6 or more.
Okay.
Some of them, here's what I've found. Regardless of what they say on that, like we've had people that say 6+, and then 2 days later, I get a message from my mortgage guy saying, hey, they're pre-approved and ready to go. So you got to take it a little bit with a grain of salt, especially because it's the first question we're asking, and they haven't really started down the slippery slope yet. So they might be a little standoffish. All of that said, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's somewhere between 40 and 50% say 1 to 2, and then 50 to 60% say either 3 to 5 or 6+. I think that's the 3 that we have here. Yeah, 1 to 2, okay. 3 to 5, or 6+.
Okay, and here's a follow-up from Louis. And he typed the word conversion, K-U-N version. I guess conversion sort of gave birth to KV Core. So Louis, it's a lot of the same functionality of conversion. It's just, and I don't know the genesis as to why I don't know if it's a separate platform, but it's a very similar platform created and built by the same companies, the same, Inside Real Estate is the holdings company that owns Conversion and KV Core and other things as well. So yes, it's very similar to Conversion. Absolutely. Okay, Cool. Thank you. Here's one from, by the way, Mo, it's Mo to Pay, Idawush. She's one of our students. We call her Mo. She says, thank you very much, by the way, for offering
Well, you're very
to
welcome,
give
Mo.
those.
I'll just go with Mo.
Yeah, she's a shining rock star. And then here's Shika from Houston area. She's asking, how does it compare to Command CRM, which is that's the new. So Josh, KW Keller Williams came out with Command in the last year, and it's their new high-tech version of. So I don't know if you're familiar with it at all, but it's got some great features.
A little bit. So
we kind of wish were better, but
yeah. So I have a partner that does a lot of the integrations, and he's kind of more the technical person. So he's the one that has worked with Command with for some of our clients with KW. I will say that what I've heard is it's maybe not got all the bugs worked out. I'm assuming that the idea is for it to be similar function, but the reality is for what I'm walking through here, if it can send automated email and automated text messaging, that's really, for this process and this system, that's the most important functions as far as the follow-up goes. As long as it can do those things, you're in good shape. I mean, that's the main function that I'm using the CRM for as it relates to this. Oh, and setting people up on search alerts. So here's the long-term sort of best practices for getting the most ROI from the people that aren't ready immediately. Two really, really simple things. And I mean, these are dead simple. Number one, setting them up on property alerts. So simply sending them properties based upon whatever criteria you've been able to glean as a way to stay in front of them. Okay. And, as simple as that sounds, and it's, I mean, people have been doing that for years and years and years. It still works. It will keep you in front of them. And especially if you've got, what I include in every one of my outgoing emails is a little super signature. That's something from Dean Jackson, who's a real estate marketing. I mean, he's like a real estate marketing legend. But the super signature just is several free services that you provide that are differentiating, maybe unique selling propositions or easy ways for people to re-engage with you. So the combination of staying in front of them with the thing that they wanted in the first place which was to look at properties, and then including that. And then the other thing that I recommend people do every 30 to 45 days for any of these leads, these people that come through this process that don't take one of the next steps, is to simply send them an email and send them a text message. Are you still interested in owning your dream home in the next 60 days or less? ? And every time I send one of those out, literally every time, I get another 1, 2, 3 people that at least start an application and in some cases get pre-approved. So super simple. And that's what works the best that we've found. Nothing super complicated. And I'm sure Command can do any of that.
Okay. Well, here's one from Diane Harris. Hi, Diane. How you doing? Good to see you. Diane's asking, can you automate it so the responses only happen when they reply? Is that where you mean? So
this is something, I'm glad Diane asked this question because I wanted to clarify this. So the automated messages happen unless you turn them off. Okay. So if someone, that first message, hey Gary, this is Josh, nice to meet you. What area you're looking for a property in? If they reply to that and I have a conversation with them, then I will turn off the rest of that automation. I'll just go and turn it off. I'll set them up on property search alerts, and I'll try to transition it back to taking one of those ideal sort of, for lack of a better term, like conversion events, getting them to start an application, getting them to schedule a call, or picking up and calling right then. It might just be, hey, are you Are you available to chat right now?
Okay.
So those automation, that will happen until or unless you turn that off. Now, I don't know of a way, and I wouldn't automate the engagement if they're replying to your automated message. So, for example, if they respond and say, we're looking to buy a home in Cumberland Valley School District, we can't automate the next step of that. At least I don't know, and I wouldn't, because now you're into a conversation. That's what we're trying to do anyway, right? That's like the ideal outcome. So now we're just going to have an actual functional conversation. It's just happening via text versus happening on the phone.
Yeah. Okay.
But you definitely want to turn that off, because if you've had a conversation with somebody and then they get another automated message, that it just seems disingenuous.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Chris Lindsay, another Texan, is asking, what's the email address to request the content of the follow-up sequences?
Yep. So it's down here at the bottom, Chris. And if you're not at your screen, it's Josh.Schoenly, which is a funky spelling, Schoenly, Josh.Schoenly at exprealty.com.
Hey, hang on, I'm gonna actually type that in, Josh. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, perfect. And while you're doing that, Louis says our number give 80% longer than 6 months. So here's I don't know what process you're using. And is it Louis or Lewis?
We call him Louis. Yep.
Louis. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure I was the reason why I would say that we're seeing different is the message up front and the audience that we're putting in front of. So, and I'm not saying that, what you're saying is inaccurate. That's what you would typically see, especially if you're making the typical offers, like, get a free list of foreclosure properties, get a free list of recently price reduced properties, get a free list of properties 300 and under, get a free list of luxury for whatever, those kinds of offers, or, search the entire, Cumberland County MLS. Those kind of offers are going to get you more looky-loo type of people. And that's when they're going to, that's when they're more likely to say, 6 months or more, right? Or even if you have a conversation with them, they're like, yeah, we're looking like a year from now. And you'll still get some of those folks with this. It's just that we get a much higher concentration of those higher intent, more motivated, ready to go. And the real, it's all of the pieces really, but the audience and the messaging without that, they're not going to fill out the survey, and they're not going to engage with the automated follow-up. So it's really that audience and that messaging, and qualifying the people that do have more motivation, higher intent right now, and disqualifying the ones that don't.
Okay. Let's see. That was Louis' comment, 80%. We got Chris's comment. Louis and Sheik are saying command does the same. So that was back to the prior
perfect. Yep.
Conversation. Betty says, thank you. I will send you an email. Okay. Thank you, Betty. Diane says, good to see you, and thank you. Thanks, Diane. And that was me to the group. And Louis saying Craig Proctor system. So I guess Louis, you're saying Craig Proctor. I know in the old days it was a lot of old school stuff, and he's since modernized some things. And I know some of the old coaches there too, but sounds like they got something similar there.
And I could be wrong, but I think that's a lot of those types of offers that they're still making. And listen, it can still work in the long run. If you can still be very profitable with those types of leads and so forth.
Yep.
If you have a long view and you're looking at it as a, almost like an annuity, right? It's just that for me, I had lofty goals for this year. So I needed to find a way, and actually multiple pillars or sources for me to get people that I can get, into business quickly. So that was, again, it was scratching my own itch initially and finding, like, I knew there had to be a way to do this. right? There are some people who have figured this out. And so I went about kind of reverse engineering and kind of and figuring it out. And that's, that's how a lot of the best businesses and products are born, right? Scratching
Yep.
your own itch.
Yep.
If you watch Shark Tank, most of the best businesses on there were born out of trying to solve their own problem, and
Yep.
and then taking that and turning it into a business.
Well, that's why just to comment on that, everything that's happening right now in the U.S. and Canada, and really most places around the world, all these newly created and innovated procedures and processes, really smart entrepreneurs are gonna capture that and take it forward into the future. Even when things start, the
100%.
rubber band goes back to the way it was to a degree. Everything we're creating now, it's not going to just disappear. Smart entrepreneurs are going to take these processes and procedures and basically systematize them and take them into the future. And that's why I always say, Louis, Reese, and I, we're like our blood brothers. We're watching the future unfold right in front of us. That's what's happening right now. And it's fast.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from prior recessions, this is the kind of time where you cannot sit back and wait and see, because you'll miss out. This is the time to go on offense and get in there and start swinging the bat, So
100%.
this is an awesome, what you just showed tonight. And by the way, Josh, I got to tell you, man, I've had guests on before, but this is really good stuff. And I'm getting a lot of thank yous. Christopher says thanks. Jika says thanks. There were some others. Terrell says thanks.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad.
and I appreciate your time. And if you guys have questions, I don't mind hanging on another minute, but it looks like we're wrapping up. And I just want to give Josh a pat on the back. And we're going to, I'll give you a hint here. We're going to have Josh back probably in the could be June or July. I'm not sure. Whenever Josh are ready, we'll do a separate session, like a class. We can participate more fully. And so I'm glad we did this, Josh. I knew as soon as I met you, I was going to be glad we did this, so.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time, and I appreciate the kind words. If you have a question that maybe, you're like me, where you think of the right response or the question as soon as we wrap up, certainly you can email me. I'm happy to, I personally respond to all my emails and texts. So I'm happy to respond and point you at the right direction as best I can.
Yeah. Betty says, yes, I will need a class. And Betty's awesome student down in Florida. I mean, everybody here, you got some action takers here, Josh and I, and I can tell you, they're going to want to implement this stuff. But yeah, and for everybody, for just real quick, for next week, it's the 19th. Is that right? What is next week? I'm sorry, next week it's going to be the 20th. Okay. Yeah. And
okay.
Yeah, go over, Josh. Are we still there? Okay. So
no. Sorry, I was confirming the date, but I had to know.
Okay. So the webinars, guys, what we're doing, the weekly webinars, if you notice in May here, it's the first Monday, second Tuesday, third Wednesday, fourth Thursday. We'll do the same thing in June. All right. So keep an eye for that. Next week, I think we're going to go over a podcast, how you actually do a podcast. I'll give you descriptions, instructions, the whole 9 yards, and examples. And then later on, guys, in June, we're going to move into more like analysis. Like, what do you do when you actually look at a flip? What do you do when you look at a rental? And it's all stuff that I want you to learn, because you're going to use that to show your clients how to do that. So when they're in the field with you, they're more educated and informed, which creates a better, more profitable relationship with both of you. So in other words, they're being taught to learn how to invest the same way you're being taught to serve them. And I got to tell you guys, when I was 100% in production, that's why I was able to do so much. It wasn't that I was some kind of a super hardworking human. I mean, I do work hard, but I learned when I had educated consumers, I got more transactions. It was faster, quicker, less headaches, fewer dropouts, all kinds of stuff. Investors who are informed don't drop out. Okay. So that's why we give you all the content to share with your clients, the videos, the books, the reports. It's not to edify me, it's to create a connection between you and them. You gave them a gift. And more, number two, is it helps you have more informed investors working that you're working with. So in any case, enough for my preaching for tonight. You guys have an awesome rest of the week. I will see you next week. God bless you and your families. And Josh, thanks again one more time, buddy. I'll give you a call here in about a minute, okay?
Right on. Thank you.
Let's see. You're welcome. Okay, guys.